Hello and welcome to Soundout's Heroes of the Grid Showcase. This is the series chronicling all the characters found within the Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid tabletop game by Renegade Studios. I want to go into every ranger and villain within every expansion box and tell all of you my personal experiences as well as the strategies I think is best when using these characters. So without further ado, let's begin.
We'll come running to your side. We will protect you from your frights. All of us are on your side. We'll take them.
Today we're taking a look at the rest of the expansions for Phase 1, including Dice Packs, Megazords, Cyclopsis, Villain Pack, and Bulk and Skull.
It's morphin' time!
So we're starting off with the Ranger Dice set. This is a set of 14 dice in the 7 major Ranger colors: yellow, red, green, blue, black, pink, and white. The white being different than the base game ones, simply because they have gold symbols as opposed to the black symbols. And yeah, they look pretty cool. I think they look nice. The base game only having 6 dice kind of instantly becomes an issue if you're doing an attack like Kimberly's Power Bow, which is 6 dice, and then you have another ranger like Red Ranger can add 2 dice to that attack, and then you need 8, so you're already having to double roll. So I think most people probably be good with just one of these. They come in a blister card as opposed to a box, so you have to find your own dice bag or something to keep them in. But other than that, like $15 for 14 dice of this size, it's pretty dang good. Now, personally speaking, I decided that one set wasn't enough, so I picked up a second and third set, so that I got 6 of each dice, which that all fell apart. But 6 dice of each color plus these I tend to use for enemy dice rolls, like the Mastodon Troopers or the Evil Green Ranger. So there's that. Between all this, I have more than enough dice. I probably never will use all these, but you know, get as many as you think you need and play some games and figure out if you need more than what you have. The next item is the Foot Soldier Pack. This is something I'd say most people don't need. In fact, I don't use it that much myself. It was included in the Morphin Master Bundle, and it's essentially just additional putties, super putties, Z putties, Tangas, and Mastodons. Now, this is something I think is only sold through the Renegade store itself, which makes sense. It is got Kickstarter exclusive add-ons, but it's 3 of each, and you know, it mentions the dice pack. But you know, swarms of foot soldiers relentlessly try to wear down the Power Rangers. You'll never run out of foot soldiers with this pack of 15 extra figures. The thing I've noticed for this, outside of the really nice packaging art, which is pulled from the card art, I find this to be really useful for those painting, because you get if you have the Kickstarter exclusive box, you already have like 20 of each of these, minus the Mastodons. There's an uneven amount of those. You have so many of these, and in most games, I find that I don't ever run out. There has been sometimes, like I was testing the Dark Horde scenario that was released, and that got a little dicey, but I still didn't crack into this. So the thing is that I feel like this is great for painting, because you can test on these, and then you're not putting into the supply in case you make some that look really ugly. So it's good for that, but other than that, I don't really see too much of a practical use. The biggest practical use I've found is I'll just take the lid of this and then put all the foot soldiers I need for the game in here. Because I used to stand them up on a table next to the game, and that just took like 20 minutes just to stand up miniatures that I would just end up tossing about anyways in terms of just trying to move them quick. So I just kind of put them in this tray, and then in case I need the box, I can bust into it, but I never really prep with this. So this is something that, you know, if you're trying to paint foot soldiers, totally, but otherwise, probably not needed at all.
Megazord power on!
So our last little bit on the non-essential but kind of enhances the game category of this video, we have the Megazord Deluxe figure. This is a $30 figure that changes the game in no way. Absolutely, gameplay-wise and mechanics-wise, it's just a token to replace this cardboard piece from the base game. This is the thing you place to use the Megazord in cards that need effects saying place the Megazord in a location, which I think is all of them. But placing the Megazord token and placing this guy is the same function. However, as I have played through the game with multiple different friends of fans, non-fans, casual fans, this they look forward to. In fact, I have people asking, when do we get to use the Megazord? And the thing is because it's a giant miniature. It is still a miniature. It's not like it's an action figure, but the thing is, there's the putty patroller next to it. And the thing is with Power Rangers fans, I know we're used to like bigger figures of stuff, and this is like kind of around the same height. I think it's a little bit shorter than the Super Mini Claw, But the thing is, this is massive for board game pieces, especially tabletop miniatures, especially ones that can be painted. Because the thing is, painting a putty can get a little tricky because it's got a lot of small details. Painting this guy, I actually want to do that. Honestly, I haven't taken the time yet, but I feel like painting this guy would actually be a really fun experience. Also, let's just take a look at the sculpt. It's very, very accurate to a lot of, Daijujin / Dino Megazord. And honestly, like, they stylized it a bit to match some of the artwork so it's streamlined. But it does look very, very nice. I love, like, the sculpting in the back of the thighs there. Like, that is just an insane amount of detail. And that's really what the price goes into. There's no cards included. It's just insanely detailed. Also, this is wonderful. The sword is its own separate piece. So you got the power sword, which could be painted separately and then put in the hand. In addition to that, in order to put it back in the box, you actually do take the sword out, which helps keep its shape as the tray has space for it. Speaking of the box, really nice. It's got the Go-Go Power Engine #1 cover, where he has the giant freaking power sword. I always loved the way that looked. Variant cover from Mighty Morphin #3, and variant cover from Mighty Morphin #1. I only know that because I own those. On the back, Megazord activated. Once all 5 Zords have been summoned, the Rangers can unleash a powerful Megazord. Upgrade your Megazord token from the base game with this giant scale Megazord miniature. Component, Megazord Deluxe figure, also add Cyclopsis. Some assembly required because of the sword. But yeah, it's actually pretty cool, and I like that it has its own box. I also like that it has its own art, which that is the Zord card art. But you can see, this is where the sword goes. It's really easy to get in and out, which I really do like that it's in its own box. But yeah, it's honestly, it brings excitement, it brings motivation, it adds to the table experience, and overall, it's not necessary. It doesn't change the game, but it makes it a heck of a lot more fun.
Cyclopsis is too powerful.
Here we have the Cyclopsis Deluxe figure and scenario. Now this is a little different than the Megazord. So this is actually a new boss miniature. And I do mean, it's still a miniature, but it's gigantic. Like, here he is next to the Megazord. He is bigger than the Megazord. So he's ready to go toe-to-toe. And honestly, I believe this is the first Cyclopsis figure outside of, like, maybe a little minifigure back in the day. This is definitely the largest Cyclopsis I think ever made. And then on top of that, he's not too hard to paint because he's already mostly gray. I'm sure, if you want to really just add the little red details, you could do that. And of course, painting, priming, getting all that done. But honestly, this guy is so impressive. I remember when they first revealed it for the Kickstarter. It was at Morphicon. They're like, we're making Cyclopsis, and then my ears perked up, and I was like, you're doing what now? And a lot of that really got my attention. And then also being able to play the game at Morphicon was really what sold me on this game and why it started my love for it. But when they revealed it, they did the single horn Cyclopsis, which is that one, which was his original form. Even though in the show, he mostly used the upgraded form. So what they actually did was, after fans said, well, we'd rather have the upgraded Cyclopsis, they switched it to this sculpt, which I'm really glad they did, because I think it's a lot more dynamic this way. But he just looks amazing with the arm blades, and he's just, and again, gigantic, like next to the putty. He's huge. And that's the thing. In this game, I've noticed a lot of the scale of the miniatures isn't relative to the series, but instead relative to their difficulty. In fact, Cyclopsis is probably the hardest boss in the game so far, because he is not just a boss. So what we're going to look at here is the Cyclopsis component cards, which you can see here all have health and effects. And so this works essentially just like Exodia from Yu-Gi-Oh! Which that is, I think, the instant comparison made by everyone. Now there are these little red dots, these half circles that line up, so you know what order to put them in. But you've got the head, the core, the right arm, the left arm, the right leg, and the left leg. So you've got kind of this sort of Exodia layout, kind of like that. The way this works is that, here's your deployment card, which, same backing as usual, deploys Cyclopsis, figure goes out, these lay out, all the miniatures move to the next location, and then every turn he has different attacks. And they don't have any health on him because of that. So you got Devastating Strike, which is deal 3 damage and increase that damage by 1 for each defeated component card. Drain 1 energy, deal 4 damage, divide among the Rangers as they choose. There's 2 of those. Deal 3 damage to the lead Ranger. That's where that lead Ranger token can get a little dangerous. Arc Lightning is deal 2 damage to each Ranger. We already did that one. I think that was it. Yeah, there's like, I think there's 2 of each, I want to say. I think he's got 3 total unique cards. Or is it? No, it is 4 cards. Yeah, it's 4 cards and then 2 of them. So those are the 6, and then the components are kind of difficult. So you got the head, health of 6, Rangers cannot use Zord abilities, and then when you defeat that, each time a Ranger uses a Zord ability, deal 3 damage. So you kind of want to like, it's like you don't want to defeat this. You want to defeat this to use your Zords, but then you don't want to defeat it because then but then you can't use it without taking damage. So it's kind of it's always like a catch-22. The right arm is a health 4. Each time a Ranger attacks another Cyclopsis component card, deal 2 damage to that Ranger. But then each time Cyclopsis deals damage, increase that damage by 1. So it's a lot of like give and take and trying to decide what order to defeat them in. Because here's the left arm of Cyclopsis, health of 4, pretty easy knockout. Each other Cyclopsis component card has +1 health, so you want to knock that out first, but then each time Cyclopsis deals damage, increase that damage by 1. So you're essentially knocking out their extra health to then take more damage. The core has a health of 8, which I think is the highest health in the game. And at the end of each battle, move 1 hit token from each other Cyclopsis component card to this card. So essentially, if you've got damage on some of them, they'll move over to this one. So it actually kind of helps, but then if you defeat it, it says when this card is flipped to this side, immediately deal 10 damage divided amongst the Rangers as they choose. So the thing is that to defeat Cyclopsis, you want to try to get down to the core, because the hit tokens will start building on it. But the thing is, you got to be careful what you're doing, because if you can't defeat the other cards and you have hit tokens at the end of the battle, and then you start the next battle, it's just gonna, like, you're gonna get 1 hit token on this, so after 8 battles, you're gonna hit with this 10 damage. But the thing is that you're gonna deal that 10 damage when you have to defeat them. So you gotta be able to figure out if you can just survive that as a Ranger team. So it's really, really difficult. So here's the other thing. Right leg of Cyclopsis, health of 5. At the start of each battle, draw and resolve 1 Cyclopsis card. And then at the start of each battle, each Ranger must place 1 card from their hand on the bottom of their deck, which actually could help with the defense against the core. And then left leg, at the end of each battle, draw and resolve 1 Cyclopsis, and then must discard 1 from the bottom of their deck. Or, wait, hold on. See, the other one was place 1 card from the hand of the deck. This one says each Ranger must discard 1 card from the bottom of their deck. So that actually hurts you a lot. So when you have Cyclopsis flipped over, he's in the upgraded form, and he is just a monster. Like, this is something that takes a lot of high-level skill. This takes a lot of high-level play. You gotta have a team that's willing to work together really well, because if you don't have a strategy going in, you're going to lose. Next up is Villain Pack number 1. This includes Rita Revolta, Master Vile, Commander Crayfish, and Poluticorn.
You're the ones about to be cooked. Let's blast the mutants!
Commander Crayfish is a monster type. He is a medium difficulty, and this corrupt crustacean is known as Commander Crayfish and has a thin shell, but his abilities work in tandem with the foot soldiers in his area. He can call upon them to create copycat Rangers in order to deal extra damage. Rangers that stay on their toes should be able to make seafood platter in no time. So Commander Crayfish, this is one of the Ju2 monsters, like a lot of the Kickstarter editions were. And this guy's really cool. I don't think he's ever had a figure before, so it's really, really neat to see. But yeah, he's got like a great design. I love all the extra texture that's done on his shell. That's honestly really, really cool. It's like super rigid. So it's really, really nice. This is a nice looking figure. Of course, we have his monster deployment card here. With it's all new art for him because he hasn't appeared in any of the comics. So we have Shellfish Slasher, a guard, health of 3, deal 4 damage. 2 of those. Claw Crusher, health of 4, deal 3 damage to a single Ranger twice. 2 of those. 3 of those, sorry. Crayfish Command, health of 4, fast. Deal 2 damage and increase that damage by 1 for each foot soldier in this location. And 2 of those, and then a passive, health of 5, Deformed Power Sword. Deal 5 damage when this card resolves. While this card is in play, each time an adjacent enemy card deals damage, increase that damage by 2. So he actually is sort of increasing damage and using the foot soldiers in his area to create new opportunities for himself. And then there's the back of his cards. So he can be a little tricky, but he's not too hard to defeat if you play your cards right.
So much to pollute, so little time!
Poluticorn is a difficulty of medium. He is a monster type. Based on an element in the world that causes damage wherever it goes, Polludicorn is a formidable adversary. If luck is in the cards for the Rangers, they can get ahead of this monster's high damage attacks. Unlucky Rangers will find themselves in hot water. So Polludicorn, another great G2 monster, classically fought the Armored Red Ranger in one of the earlier debuts, I think, of that form. So this actually goes well with the Kickstarter box, including the Armored Red Ranger. Little details like the face is just amazing to me, and the way that the wings have been feathered and detailed is just incredible. Like this is great. I don't think we've ever gotten a figure of Polludicorn, and this is honestly, it's just so good. I really do like it. So there's that. Of course, we have his deployment card. Once again, all new art with this guy. So we got Polludicorn there, monster type. And then we've got his attack deck, or his enemy cards. So we've got Prismatic Orbs, Fast, health of 3, deal 2 damage to each ranger twice. There are 2 of those. Ferocious Strength, health of 4, guard, deal 5 damage. And there's 3 of those. And then Toxic Tornado, which actually this art is from the comics for a different... I think this is when the Zords were fighting Black Dragon, actually. The Rangers must discard a total of 4 cards, divided how they choose, and there's 2 of those. And then Unicorn Blaster, health of 6. This is deal 9 damage, divide amongst the Rangers as they choose. Again, I think that's from a panel where Black Dragon was fighting the Rangers. I understand that if every card had unique art, this game would just blow its budget instantly, so I do think that's clever because it does look like the Unicorn Blaster attack from Polludicorn from the show, so it works out.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Rito Revolto is a boss type. His difficulty is hard. Rito Revolto may have a goofy demeanor, but under that shell packs some serious power. His health is strong and his attacks are powerful. Rangers need to stay on their toes to defeat this skeletal foe. So Rito is, of course, the brother to Rita, even though they have different last names, because Rita, I guess Repulsa, much like in the Spanish language, Repulsa and Revolto are the female and male versions of the last name. But anyways, Rita Revolto, looking sweet. This guy, he's known for his two-tone, like, camo skeleton look. So the sculpt doesn't really portray the camo part because it is paint. And I imagine painting this guy will be a bit of a challenge, but I have seen people do it, and he looks incredible. So, very nice figure, nice arm cannon, great sword. This gives me excitement because I love Kaku Ranger. Of course, he was Gashidoko Jr., so I really do love this figure. But yeah, it's not the first Rito we've gotten in Power Rangers history, but he's pretty nice. Of course, we got the boss deployment card. Brand new art. The art that's used in the box. Boss on the back of these. We got the nice new Rito art. So we've got Blade of Bones, health of 4, deal 5 damage. That's pretty rough, but avoidable. Crushing Impact, guard, deal 3 damage to a single ranger twice. Now that's a health of 5, so that's actually pretty tricky. This is also a nice variant cover they did based on Season 2 and 3 of Mighty Morphin. Then we have Flamethrower, health of 5, fast, deal 3 damage to each ranger, and there's 2 of those. Hideous Strength, health of 6, passive. While this card is in play, each time Rita Revolto card deals damage, increase that damage by 2. So you've got something like, for example, deal 5 damage, goes to 7, deal 3 damage each a single ranger twice is 5 each, that's 10. And then lastly, Stumbling Fool, health of 6, fast, draw 2 cards from Rita Revolto's enemy deck, and place them after this card in the combat sequence. Place 1 hit token at each of those cards. So it actually adds cards to this, but it does put damage on them instantly, but it does add more cards to the sequence, which I guess could mean that you could defeat him in one battle, if that does mean that there's 6 of them. So yeah, because there would be 6 out there, so if you could defeat all 6, you could do it in one battle. So it's almost, that's why it's Stumbling Fool, because normally you'd have to defeat 6 cards across 2 battles at minimum, but with Rito you could take him out in one round if you don't get just totally wrecked by the damage he puts out.
What? Who dares to ask a question of me, Master Vile?
Lastly, we have Master Vile. He's a boss type monster with a difficulty of Evil Hard. I made that up, but Evil Hard describes him. Father of Rita Repulsa and Rito Revolto, Master Vile may not share a name with them, but his evil power is unmatched. Very high damage, very big energy drain power, and passive abilities that make the Rangers quake in their boots. Yes, he actually is smaller than Rito. Rito's kind of like more of a bombastic character, like, rawr, I'm out here and I'm powerful. And then Master Vile's kind of like, yeah, don't underestimate me. Because he's actually a little bit smaller, but he is one of the hardest monsters, or one of the hardest bosses in the game. And this is much like how Finster's one of the hardest monsters, and yet he is also small. It's kind of like a sort of, don't underestimate him just because of his size. But he looks fantastic. There was a Master Vile figure back in the day. But again, Kaku Ranger makes me really love this character even more. Master Vile was an intimidating force in Power Rangers, and it's nice to see him represented in this game. Now, here's the thing. Brand new art for his deployment card. Really cool. And let's look at his combat deck, which again, brand new art that looks so good. Now here's the thing, guys. When the boss has the lowest health card is 5, you know you're screwed. So Gravity Well, health of 5, guard, deal 3 damage to each ranger twice. And there's 2 of those. Hex Blast, Master Vile, health of 5, fast, deal 6 damage, and then deal 6 damage. That could be divided amongst 2 rangers, but that's 12 damage. That's basically almost insta-kills for some decks, especially when you get to the boss stage. And there's 2 of them. Negation Wave, also art from the Black Dragon fight. Health of 5, drains 6 energy. And now remember, the thing is, you usually only have like 2 or 3 energy, and the thing is that when there's 2 of these, that it could come up multiple times. Drain 6 energy can be devastating because when you run out of energy in the energy pool, when you have a drain, it starts taking cards off the top of decks or rangers. So that's just super dangerous. And then Warlock's Curse, health of 6, another Black Dragon thing. When this card is in play, the energy cost of all combat cards is increased by 1. So if you have a card that's like, 6 dice, like Kimberly, and it takes 3 energy, it now costs 4 energy. But you may have just had all your energy drained away. And then lastly, Hideous Power, health of 6, passive. When this card is in play, each time a Master Vile card deals damage, increase that damage by 2. So remember that deal 6 damage card? This can make it deal 8 damage and deal 8 damage, which basically is a game ender. So if you're going up against Master Vile, have your deck ready, be prepared, make sure everyone's on topic of what decisions you're making, because otherwise, this could end up very, very badly. Now that we finished up our Kickstarter Phase 1 stuff, let's look at our kind of in-between item. This was, again, a Renegade store exclusive, but also was available through the Phase 2 Kickstarter as the Bulk and Skull character pack. This was $20. Like I said again, it's about $10 for a miniature plus a set of cards. And honestly, I love this. This is based on a story from the 2016 annual for the Boom Power Rangers comics, where Bulk and Skull were given the loose change of Zordon to become temporary Power Rangers because the Rangers are off planet. So we got Bulk as the Purple Ranger and Skull as the Orange Ranger. And as you can see here, all the art is pulled from the specific story, which is fantastic. Now this little pack is nice and small. I got the bottom upside down. Behold the Purple and Orange Rangers. Meet the 2 newest Power Rangers, Bulk and Skull. That's right. Desperate times call for desperate measures. With the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers captured, Zordon has called 2 very unlikely heroes into action. These 2 teenagers with even more attitude are Angel Grow's only hope.
I am the Blue Ranger.
Farkas Bulkmeyer is the Mighty Morphin Purple Ranger. While his powers may be temporary, Bulk's own clumsiness becomes his greatest strength. Never one to go into a fight alone, he works better partnered with Skull. Alone they are bumbling, together they are mighty. So Bulk here is really cool. So again, based on his comic appearance as the Purple Ranger, you can see he's got just an excellent sculpt. Now this is the thing. The reason why these are Renegade / Convention / Kickstarter exclusives is because not everybody's going to want these. These are very much kind of almost joke characters, but in a way they're actually somewhat really, really good to use. But yeah, so you got the Purple Ranger here. Looking fantastic. I love the pig snout on him. Just, it's so great. Like this is just so good. And I think that it works better than just having like Bulk and Skull as joke characters just as normal people. Farkas Bulkmeyer, my Purple. Big Bully. This is where things get really fun. Once per battle, you may verbally insult one enemy card, then discard 1 card from your hand to deal 1 damage to that enemy card. Yep, that's literally like the most bulk effect possible out of anything. And then his Bacanodon Zord, which we didn't see these things get used, they were just there. Exhaust this card when any ranger suffers damage to increase that damage by 1, then deal 3 damage to an enemy card of your choice. So that's actually pretty nice because if you're going up with something like Master Vial, honestly, I don't think I'd send Bulk after Master Vial, but if Master Vial is suddenly damaging rangers, then you can, like, at least, like, be like, okay, let's just increase the damage and then throw some more damage down. It's kind of like a nice little bounce back effect. By the way, finding purple card sleeves was not as hard as I thought it would be. Orange ones were the tricky ones. So, Fight Dirty, reaction. This is a 0 energy cost, reaction. Play this card when another ranger suffers damage to increase that damage by 1, then roll 2 dice and deal that much damage to an enemy card of your choice. So it's again kind of like where it works with the Zord. It's like, hey, take a hit and then throw a hit back out, and you got 2 of those to work with. Hip check, 3 dice with a 0 energy. A 0 energy 3 dice attack is amazing. After you resolve this attack, suffer 1 damage for each missed result rolled. Okay, so that's kind of got a backfire to it. If you roll 3 misses, you get damage from it. But if you have another ranger, say like Mighty Morphin Red, that can block damage, that could actually work out. Or Mighty Morphin Black, who can reduce damage. There's 2 of those. Big Pig Energy. 0 energy cost, maneuver. Gain 1 energy, and the next time you perform an attack during this battle, add 2 dice to that attack. After you place this card, place it on top of your deck instead of discarding it. This is actually one of the best cards in the game, and I'm not even kidding. Because you get an energy, then next time that the next attack, you could throw out even this, and then you add 2 dice to it and make it 5, and as long as you don't roll any misses, you'll be pretty good. And if you do, you know you have at least 1 shield on top. So there's 2 of those. Fist Bump Strike. 1 energy, 3 dice attack. Alpha or fist bump to another ranger in your location. If they accept, deal 1 damage to an enemy card of that ranger's choice. So yeah, if you fist bump your friend, which in light of current events, maybe not the currently best card, that's not too hard. Like, you can get a fist bump from someone, deal 1 damage, and you get to roll 3 damage, or 3 dice on top of that for even more damage. That's pretty good. And then Cockroach Combo. This is a card that exists in Skull's deck too. 2 dice attack, 1 energy cost. After another ranger may discard 1 card from their hand, add 2 dice to this attack. If that card is named Cockroach Combo, add 4 dice instead. So you can actually get 6 dice out of this 1 energy cost, as long as you have a buddy who knows what's up. And then lastly, 2 energy attack, Power Bomb. 2 dice attack. After you resolve this attack, which by the way, you do 2 dice attack and then you do this. After you resolve this attack, flip this card onto the combat sequence from a height of at least 12 inches. Literally like that. And then, when it lands, deal 3 damage to each enemy card it touches. So the thing is, you have to go from 12 inches, but you could land on like 3 cards and then deal 3 damage to each. So that actually is really, really helpful. So overall, bulk is pretty good. My only thing is that I want purple dice. I've mentioned this on Facebook to a certain guy that runs Renegade, Scott Gata. You want to give us some purple dice and some orange dice? I'm not going to stop asking, but this is an amazing character. So, let's move along to his buddy, Skull.
I'm the Black Ranger!
Eugene Skull Skullovich was the Mighty Morphin Orange Ranger. He may be called a sidekick. Well, that's because he is. Skull's temporary featherdactyl powers make him slightly more powerful, but just as uncoordinated as before. Skull always follows Bulk everywhere anyways, but the two should not be separated for any period of time. Alone they are bumbling, together they are mighty. So Skull really does complete this team, because his stuff works off of Bulk's. So first up, actually, I'm going to look at the figure. So here's a little miniature Skull, looking very nice. I always loved the kind of like, the bird look, as well as the scarf, because the scarf is very Skull. And very nice looking, very nice, just like Bulk. It's like, can't believe I actually have a figure of this, and they're playable in a game. So, anyways, back to Wingman. Wingman, once per battle, when another ranger defeats an enemy card, you may offer them a high five. If they accept, that ranger may choose 1 card from their discard pile and return to the bottom of their deck. Pretty easy, pretty awesome. I like how Bulk's thing is fist bumps and Skull's thing is high fives. And yes, I do mean thing, and that is going to come up again. Here's the Featherdactyl. Exhaust this card to allow any ranger to choose any number of cards from their discard pile and return them to the bottom of their deck. That ranger must then discard an equal number of cards on the top of their deck. So if you know a friend or buddy or ranger teammate who has maybe their 3 shield card in the discard, then they can get it back into their deck that way. Alright, let's look at his combat cards. Once again, orange sleeves were harder to find, but we got them. So, Finger Guns. 0 energy. Attack special. Point at 1 or 2 enemy cards and say, pew pew! This attack deals 2 damage, divided as you choose between those enemy cards. This is the greatest freaking card of all time. It's amazing. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it's hilarious. Fight or Flight. Reaction. Play this card when any ranger suffers damage to flip a coin. If heads, deal 2 damage to an enemy card of your choice. If tails, reduce that damage by 2. Actually pretty good. It's a little bit luck based, but you can deal damage or reduce damage. Chancy Chop. 0 energy, 2 dice attack. Before rolling, choose evens or odds. If the number of hit results you roll matches your choice, gain 1 energy and return this card to your hand instead of discarding it. So that's actually pretty good. It's a good effect, but you don't even have to worry about if it backfires because there's really no downside to that. High Five Strike. 1 energy cost, 1 dice. However, offer a high five to another ranger in your location. If they accept, that ranger may immediately play 1 card, reducing its energy cost by 1. So if you have something that's a 1 energy cost, it's like a 3 dice attack, like bulk, you have that option to throw out. And there's 2 of those to work with. And then Cockroach Combo, 1 energy, 2 dice attack. Another ranger may discard 1 card from their hand, add 2 dice to this attack. If that card is named Cockroach Combo, add 4 dice instead. So that's actually pretty nice. If these 2 cards are in play, Bulk and Skull could do a lot together. And then Power Nap. 2 energy cost. Maneuver. Roll 5 dice. For each hit result, any ranger may choose 1 card from their discard pile and return it to the top of their deck. This is the first time in the game where you roll dice not for damage, but to get cards back. So that's pretty sweet. Bulk and Skull are a great team. They're individually actually pretty strong, but overall, their best power is together. If you're playing the game and you got like a best friend and a best buddy, you two should play these 2 together. Because honestly, that's what I've done, and it's honestly the best. I don't see splitting them up being a good idea. I think they should always go to the same battles together, should always go to the same locations. One person shouldn't play as Bulk, and then Skull's just off wondering what's going on, because he's like, hey, look, I know I fell asleep and you didn't take me to Terra Venture, but I need to be in the game too. So, you got that option, and honestly, they're great. Again, not something that everybody wants, but it's something I wanted. Also, I want my purple and orange dice. Like, come on. Seriously. Please. So that does it for this video, and that does it for Phase 1 of Heroes of the Grid Showcase. Phase 2 begins with the unboxing of the Phase 2 Kickstarter, which should be coming very, very soon. So be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up with that, because it will be very, very soon. I've got a really good feeling about that. FedEx is moving my package along fairly quickly. So we got that, and we got videos about those expansions coming up too. So if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and leave a comment down below and let me know which ranger and which villain you want to see added to the game. Just one of each, just kind of an idea. I have no say in anything that Renegade decides. I don't work for them. I'm just a big fan of the game, and personally, I want to see, let's see, I want to see Omega Ranger Blue as a character, and then I also want to see, Deviat. Deviat would be a good monster. I think they could do some really cool stuff with his cards. So, on that, be sure to check out graphic artist Darklaw on Twitter at Darklaw643. He does art commissions. He also does all the great graphics that have been used for the series, and I really appreciate his hard work because it does really amp up this show even further. And also check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for all your Heroes of the Grid news and more. I always like to post updates whenever something new is announced for the game. And until next time, keep safe, keep your hands clean, enjoy the life the best you can in what circumstances you have going on, and I hope you all get to play some tabletop games because, for me, that brings me a lot of joy. So until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.